Hello and welcome to Green Dragon Minis. My name is Milan and today I'm gonna be showing you some single miniatures that I bought from trollandtoad.com. Here you can see the miniatures that were split into 3 small orders that I did throughout the last half a year. And the reason for such small batches of miniatures is that in Europe, if you have anything shipped from US, you have to pay the import taxes and charges in case the order is over 22 euros in value. So these all batches fall just right below that value, so I do not have to pay anything extra. And the advantage of shipping from either trollandtoad.com or miniaturemarket.com is that they have very reasonable and low shipping charges to Europe. Approximately $5 per batch, so that still compensates for the difference in price, because in Europe these miniatures are much more expensive. The first batch of the miniatures is mainly from the edition of Icons of the Realms Mythic Odysseys of Pharos, and there's as well one of the Barbarians from Dungeons of the Mad Mage, and then one unpainted owlbear that I needed for my campaign, but unfortunately didn't manage to paint it on time. So the first one is the Berserker. This is a female kind of barbarian from Dungeons of Mad Mage, and I needed this miniature just as a generic female barbarian fighter, but she has as well pretty decent stats for the D&D miniature board game. So there you go. Decent details, decent paint job. Nothing overly spectacular, but it was like a $2 miniature, so as well very cheap one. So this is Siona, Captain of the Pylias, and she's one of the miniatures coming from the Mythic Odysseys of Pharos. I decided to skip this edition because there's not a big amount of like generic miniatures for D&D, but this one looked really cool as a female generic fighter, and I really like the details that she has on the back of the cape over here. Right now we're getting to the large minis from the first batch, and this is the Fleecemane Lion, again from the Mythic Odysseys of Pharos. I just needed very cheap generic lions, so this one definitely works. The only issue I had with this one was that there was so much glue around the base that I had to clean up. Right now it looks okay-ish, but it's still not like perfectly clean. The only thing that I might change for the future is that I might just use some dark brown for the mane and the tail tip of the lion, but otherwise he's a pretty nice sculpt. This one is a pretty decent looking griffin, again from the same edition of miniatures. I really liked the details on this one, plus he was extremely cheap and he's very substantial size. He's wearing as well a nice purple-ish pink cape, and yeah, this will be definitely nice generic griffin for any D&D game. The one that I was looking forward probably the most from this batch was this Chimera. I have to say I'm pretty disappointed with the paint job because it's extremely basic, except for the green tail and the front paws and just few minor details around the eyes. It looks very very unfinished, and it's just like off-white shades with bit of wash and nothing else. So I might afterwards give it a complete repaint and just darken some of the sections of it. But other than that, the sculpt is actually really nice. It's just the paint job that I'm not quite happy about. And this is the unpainted Knossos Miniatures owlbear that I wanted for my first campaign that I just finished playing with my friends. He's a really nice sculpt, and the paint example over here doesn't look too great. I might just give it a bit more life with some other color accents because the sculpt is really nice, and I think he deserves a bit more. But yeah, looking forward to painting this one whenever the time comes. This is the second batch of the miniatures, and you can see that over here I have a lot less, at least number-wise. And this is because of the price of the Green Dragon that was over the half of the whole order of the miniatures, but I am kind of obsessed with Green Dragons in general, so I can justify that easily. The first one and the smallest one is this Flame Skull, which comes from the Descent to Avernus edition of miniatures, and I really needed a Flame Skull for the ending of my first campaign, which was the Lost Mine of Phandelver. And this is the cheaper Flame Skull that you can get in the market. And to be honest, the promo pictures look absolute crap and doesn't give this miniature justice. Because what you have over here is beautifully crafted skull that is placed on the stalk or on the stand. And afterwards it just engulfed in the green flame, in which all the details kind of disappeared and the photos do not make it any better. But yeah, pretty nice Flame Skull and looks cool. Next one up is a Snow Goblin from the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden edition. I already have one, and I already as well given one to my friend as a small treat, because he really likes these kind of goblins. And I already have probably like 35 of them, but this was so cool that I didn't want to miss this one, and he was as well very cheap when I bought it, so I have right now 2 of them. Even though I own quite a few female characters in D&D miniatures, I was really missing a generic female spellcaster that could work as a wizard, so I decided to go with this one because it looks really cool and has as well very nice pose and could work for most of the human female wizards. This miniature is a combat medic, and it dates from to one of the very old editions of minis before WizKids even took over, when the miniatures were still made by the Wizards of the Coast. Demons and Devils are probably my third most favorite group of miniatures after Dragons and Constructs. And this is the Pit Fiend from Waterdeep Dragon Heist. It was again very cheap and it was on discount, so I decided to get one because I always wanted to have the very old edition Pit Fiend, but he's just way too expensive. This one looked okay, even though when it arrived the paint job on it is not my cup of tea, to be honest. The head lacks some details, and like the detailed paint is all over the place. The teeth are going like all across the head, and I'm not really a big fan of the highlights on the head and on the chest. But yeah, I can fix it later if I get time. Otherwise, the sculpt is fairly decent. I like the dynamic pose of the Pit Fiend, and his stat block as well for the D&D miniature board game is really good. The star of this batch is this large green dragon, which is an uncommon variant coming from the Tyranny of Dragons editions. And I decided to use this one as well as the Venom Fang in Lost Mine of Phandelver, because the other green dragons that I do have look kinda small against this one, and this looks way more menacing. And of course, it's the strongest creature that you can meet in the whole campaign, so it should have quite a substantial size. The only issue with these dragons is like they stand on these thin stalks that you have to assemble yourself, and some of them, luckily not this one, have some issues fitting the stalk or the stand inside the body of the dragon. Luckily this one was painted really well, and I had no issues assembling this one. The only thing I just quickly corrected like in 2 minutes was that there was a bit of the off-white on the teeth that just went over the gums and close to the eyes, so that was very easy and simple fix. And I'm really pleased with this dragon. I really like the pose, I really like the overall presence of the dragon, and the wingspan is quite impressive for the older edition dragons. Of course, you right now know that WizKids are making the dragons more to the scale of the miniatures, so all of them are much bigger than this one. And this is the last batch of the miniatures that I'm gonna show you, and these ones were ordered already like at the end of December. I still didn't get a chance to play any of them, to be honest, but yeah, I can wait for that. The smallest one of them is this Goblinoid spellcaster and psionic called Blue, very simply because of his blue skin color. And he's a great fodder for any psionic or goblinoid parties, or just if you need a low-cost spellcaster in your D&D board game. These two guys come from the Fangs and Talons edition of the Icons of the Realms, and I bought them as singles because I really didn't want to miss them waiting for the boosters, and as well I didn't want their price to increase drastically, so I got them cheap, below $2 for each of them. And I really do like the sculpts, and even the paint job, even though fairly simple, is very decent for pre-painted miniatures. And I'm glad at least that I got the Berbalang, because I didn't find him in my booster brick at all. The Ethereal Marauder is something that I really wanted to get when I started playing the D&D miniature board game. Look at this awful triangular maw with the hooks at the end. It's again like a low point fodder, but I really do like the sculpt of this miniature, and when I saw him at a discount, I just needed to get it because, yeah, it's scary, it's awful, but cool at the same time. This is Rika, the Angelic Avenger, again one of the old miniatures that they were made by the Wizards of the Coast before WizKids took over in 2014. And again, something I really wanted to have for quite some time, but I decided not to get it because it was a bit too expensive. She was again at a discount, so I just decided to grab her, and I'm definitely not disappointed. The pose is pretty nice. The paint job has some issues, but it's nothing terrible. Like, if you don't look at it very closely, it's gonna be alright on the table. This is another female fighter. Her name is Alucer Obarskir, or however it should be pronounced. Sorry if I mispronounce her name. And I really like the design of this one. Plus, again, I bought her for the D&D miniature board game because I really liked her stats. She's one of the champions and gives extra damage to any creatures that are charging against the enemies. And I think I could use it afterwards as well somewhere else in D&D campaigns. And again, I saved the best looking one for the end, which is the Black Shadow Dragon. Again, uncommon miniature from Tyranny of Dragons. Very basic paint job. It's a trans-clear miniature with some black wash over it and a little bit of purple and black over the claws and the mouth and the eyes. But I really do like the overall sculpt and presence. And again, this one luckily had no issue being attached to the base compared to my Blue Dragon. That is the only thing I managed to pull out of the Tyranny of Dragon boosters. So that should be it from my side. I hope you had fun watching the video. If yes, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment as well. And if you are new over here, which is very highly probable because I just started my channel, do not forget to subscribe. That way you can help my channel to grow a little bit, and any help is much appreciated at the beginning because I know how difficult it is to get the first few hundred of subscribers. So, if you want to buy single miniatures, I can only recommend using trollandtoad.com or miniaturemarket.com. They have very wide selection of miniatures, reasonable prices, and very reasonable shipping costs. So yes, that's all from my side. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.